Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're slicking behind the curtain of a very specific and I think incredibly passionate world.
Vintage Motorcycle Club.
Exactly. We're not looking at glossy auction catalogs or, distant museum pieces. We are diving straight into the engine room thanks to the Cheshire Cats VMCC section newsletter.
That's right. And this isn't just a schedule of meetings, it's a living document. It captures the sheer dedication it takes to keep history rolling on two wheels.
So we've pulled out three major themes for you.
They have. First, there's the hunt for a truly old pre-1930s machine, which is a whole process in itself.
Yeah.
Second, the amazing ingenuity needed for maintenance on both old and surprisingly modern bikes.
And finally, a bit of a local mystery involving a rare Italian classic that, well, it
Oh.
turned out to be something else entirely.
Hmm.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission is to really get a rapid understanding of what it takes to live this life. The early mornings, the complex problem solving, and how much you have to rely on the wisdom of your club.
It's a fantastic window into that world. These are the people who are custodians of history, but with a wrench in their hand.
So let's start with that big quest.
Yeah.
Scratching the pre-1930s itch.
Yeah.
The newsletter follows one member's years-long fascination with these really early bikes. It was sparked by going to events like the Banbury Run.
And he didn't just want any old bike. He wanted a piece of that early evolution of motorcycling, a machine from the dawn of the hobby.
And this is where the clip comes in straight away, isn't it? The historical context becomes immediate practical advice.
Oh, absolutely. He starts talking to seasoned riders, guys like Alan Quetchley and John Coxon, and the technical advice they gave him was just crucial.
So what was the big takeaway for a newcomer?
They told him very clearly, if you want a machine you can actually ride, you have to steer clear of bikes with block brakes and, most importantly, belt drives.
Right. So those technologies are just too early, too unreliable.
Exactly. They said, wait for a bike with a proper chain drive and hub brakes. It's a huge step up in performance and handling.
I mean, the brakes are a no-brainer, you want to stop. But why the specific warning on belt drives? They seem so authentic to that period.
They are, but they are notoriously temperamental. They slip, especially in the wet, and getting the tension right is, well, it's a dark art. A chain drive is a massive evolutionary leap.
So it's about usability.
Usability and safety. They also said look for a standard throttle grip, not an old lever. All of that guidance basically shaped the entire search.
And it stopped him making a big mistake. He found a bike from a dealer, Varel's, for £7,500.
Yeah, and it had been stored in a collection for 25 years.
Sounds perfect.
It does. But the dealer insisted on servicing the Magneto before the sale. And, the member just rightly decided that was too big a risk. Too many unknowns.
That's a smart move. Better to pass on a potential problem than buy an expensive headache.
And that's where the club network paid off again. At a breakfast meeting, John Coxon just casually mentions that his brother, Mike, might be selling a Sunbeam Model 8.
Wow, okay. The Model 8, that's a proper piece of history, one of the first saddle tank bikes of its era.
That's the one. And it was the successful buy. But the machine was all the way up in Morpeth, in the Northeast.
So the commitment just to pick it up is a story in itself.
It really is. I mean, this defines the passion of the hobby.
You're not kidding. This wasn't a quick trip.
No, it meant starting out at 4 a.m.,
4 in the morning.
hiring a van for 70 quid for the day, and getting a friend, Phil Ashton, to come along just, and I quote, to keep me awake.
That level of planning just to retrieve the bike tells you everything you need to know.
It does. It's less about slick online auctions and more about early alarms and borrowing a van from a mate.
And the bike, Sunny the Sunbeam, was described as being in oily rag condition.
Which means unrestored but original and sound. The buyer actually thought it looked even better than that.
And now Sunny is set to appear at the Banbury Run in 2026. What a great story. It's not about the price tag, it's about history, community, and expert advice.
And it sets up our next section perfectly. Because once you own the history, you have to maintain it.
Right, and here's where it gets really interesting. The mechanical sagas. Maintenance doesn't always go to plan, whether you're working on an old Sunbeam or a much more modern Ducati.
We dive into the Modern Bike Challenge first. A member was helping a friend with his Ducati 600S. Just routine stuff, fork seals, clutch piston seals.
All going fine until they got to the oil filter.
The dreaded oil filter battle. Every mechanic has a story.
And this one was a real fight.
It was. The standard socket just failed immediately. Slipped uselessly around the filter. It was seized solid.
Okay, so plan B?
There was no plan B. They went straight to plan C and D.
I love that they formally documented their backup plans.
Me too.
Yeah.
So plan C was an Amazon next day delivery of oversized oil filter wrenches, which thankfully did the job.
Phew. But the dedication is in plan D, isn't it? The tool he sketched overnight, just in case.
Plan D is a masterpiece of problem solving. It's not just a sketch. It's a bespoke piece of sheer ingenuity designed for that specific mangled filter.
So it was designed to engage the filter's drain holes after the main body was already destroyed.
Precisely.
Wait, you're telling me someone designed a custom tool down to the exact thread size overnight for one stuck filter? That's incredible.
It is. He specified a 50-millimeter diameter plate, 5 millimeter thick, with a 12.7 millimeter hole squared off for a half-inch drive.
Wow.
And then specific M5 and M6 bolts to catch the filter. That is pure, specialized human intelligence solving a unique physical problem. You can't just Google that.
It makes you think. The newsletter jokes that if you ask an AI to draw a Wenkel rotary engine, it often gets it wrong. Yet here's a human designing a highly specific physical tool on paper overnight.
It really does raise that question of mechanical empathy, doesn't it? It's a skill that comes from hands-on experience, something technology still struggles with.
And that kind of troubleshooting is at the core of this hobby. We get a fantastic flashback in the sources to the 1970s, working at Davies Brothers Motorcycles in Chester.
That anecdote is brilliant.
Mhm.
It shows the unpredictability of old machines. Davies had a classic workshop, reliant three-wheelers on the ground floor, bikes upstairs, sent up in a lift.
And the manager, Jeff Morgan, was a serious racer.
Manx GP, a proper enthusiast. But the best story is about the bikes they found under a huge tarpaulin covered in fiberglass dust.
A James, a Bantam, a BSA C12.
And a Suzuki Super 6. They decided to try and get them going.
And only the Suzuki cooperated, if you can call it that.
Well, it roared to life, but then the throttle stuck wide open. It just revved uncontrollably.
Oh, no.
Couldn't shut it down, even with the key out. They were just scrambling.
A two-stroke rocket running wild in the middle of Chester. What did they do?
They had to push it outside in this huge cloud of blue smoke until it finally stalled. It's a perfect illustration of what you're dealing with.
And that original building is still there. The old parts department is now, what, Chester's Roman Experience?
History repeating itself in very different ways.
Moving from mechanical chaos to a market mystery, let's talk about Italian Exotica, the Ducati Halewood replica.
A bike born from legend. Mike Halewood's incredible return to the IOMTT in 1978. He averaged over 108 miles per hour.
That wasn't just a race win, it was a marketing triumph for Ducati. Win on Sunday, sell on Monday.
It was. And it led to them building over 7,000 of the original Halewood replicas between 79 and 86.
But the intrigue here is about a specific bike found locally, purported to be a one-of-4 limited edition built years later from new old stock.
The evidence seemed really compelling at first. A Ducati dealer's computer gave it a build date of 2002.
So nearly old enough to be a vintage bike itself.
Almost. And crucially, the frame number appeared to be 0004, suggesting it might be the very last official one ever made.
And its life story is just as strange.
Get this. It spent its first 8.5 years in the crate.
As an investment.
Purely as an investment. It's only done 1,400 miles total, speedos and kph, and before it was sold in 2024, it was literally a work of art in someone's lounge.
What a life for a bike. But here comes the spoiler alert.
And the big contradiction. The club displayed the bike at the Stafford Show in 2025, very proudly.
And then an industry insider saw it.
An irate Ducati owner, as the newsletter puts it, he informed them that the bike is actually a 900 SS, which looks identical, and is therefore just a replica of a replica.
Oh, wow. So a classic case of market confusion.
Exactly. But, as the author wisely says, they never let the facts get in the way of a good story. And at the end of the day, it's still a fascinating, low-mileage machine that represents a huge piece of racing history.
So what does this all really mean? I think all these stories just confirm that the community is absolutely vital. The support, the learning, the celebration, it keeps the whole thing going.
Without a doubt. And their diary for 2026 is jam-packed. They're heavily involved in the VMCC 80th anniversary event, handling the ceremonial baton.
Which is an aluminum tube with threaded ends, carrying the club's emblem.
Yeah. And they're also helping out with a recreation of the International 6 Days trial.
And the annual awards really highlight what the club values. It's not about just riding fast, it's about mutual support.
It is. They have 3 main awards. First, the Weaver Shield for Clubman of the Year, which is voted on by the members.
You're very democratic.
Then you have the Peter Mills Trophy, This one's really special. It's for practical help given to other members, and the trophy itself is made from a piece of Peter Mill's own engineering work.
That is a lovely touch, physically connecting the award to the legacy of a great contributor.
Precisely. And finally, the Endeavor Shield, for continued contributions that benefit the club as a whole. It's a self-sustaining ecosystem.
And before we wrap up, we have to share the crucial modern safety warning from the newsletter. This is really important for anyone buying or selling online.
Yes, this is critical. It's advice from the police in West Yorkshire about a new tactic thieves are using. They use bogus banking apps.
Apps that look exactly like a real banking screen to trick you into thinking money has been transferred.
And to make it worse, they have an accomplice phone you, pretending to be from bank security, to rush you into releasing the goods.
So the key takeaway is never, ever rely on the buyer's screen.
Always confirm the funds are safely in your account using your own app before you let anything go. A really necessary modern caution.
And finally, just to give a flavor of the market, the source lists a couple of bikes for sale from members.
Yeah, a beautiful Moto Guzzi Aroni from 1953, a 250cc single. A rare sight here because it was never officially exported to the UK.
And a Reg 250 Sport.
From 1938. Described as lightweight, low center of gravity, and an exhilarating ride. A perfect snapshot of what's out there.
We have covered a massive range here, from, that highly specific advice needed to buy a pre-WWI machine-like avoiding belt drives, to the modern ingenuity needed for a stuck oil filter.
What's fascinating is the sheer breadth of knowledge required. It's complex, it's context-dependent, and it really relies on human expertise and that shared community database of what works and what doesn't.
And that leads to a provocative final thought for you. We saw that custom, beautifully engineered Plan D tool designed with specific measurements to solve a unique physical problem. And we also noted that modern AI still struggles with the basics of mechanical drawings, like that Wankel engine.
Right.
So if human ingenuity is still so essential for this kind of specialized, hands-on problem solving, how long until that intensely practical skill set becomes truly obsolete?
It raises that deep question, doesn't it? Whether true mechanical empathy can ever really be codified. For now, it seems the community and the workbench are still the most powerful database we have.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the Sunbeam Hunt, the Ducati mystery, and the vital, ingenious tools of the trade. We'll see you next time.